Cult of the Lamb's combat was always its weak point despite being an enjoyable base manager, and while I don't think a game should have to rely on updates, even if it's a big advantage for the developers, lots of people proposed that updates could inevitably fix the combat system to make it more enjoyable. They thought they'd be able to iron out some of the finer issues that was holding the fighting down, but as I pointed out in another video, I don't think it'd be an easy task since it would basically require big sweeping changes to enemies, weapon types, and bosses. But the Cult of the Lamb official Twitter account appears to be a bit more optimistic here, because not only did they release a Halloween event a handful of days ago that introduces more follower types and base decorations among other things, like this raven with a mouth so frustratingly placed that they went and made a meme about it, but they made the bold declaration that based on feedback they've seen from the community, they are going to adjust how the fighting mechanics work in the game through a major content update that will simultaneously add more depth to the fighting mechanics and how dungeons work in general. Initially when I heard this, I was overjoyed and pleasantly surprised, but I have some reservations. The reason I say that mainly is because of the reasons described, but on the positive side of things, it's easy to see that Massive Monster is a team full of people pleasers. Massive Monster and by extension Devolver are really good at working with content creators and marketing their games, going as far as to provide assets for thumbnails and an automated written response if you want to make content for Cult of the Lamb at all. I think this demonstrates that they're willing to follow through on a product if it means they'll get satisfaction and goodwill from their fans. Cult of the Lamb sold fine and critically it did pretty great too. It'd be very reasonable for them to call this one done and walk away, but that kind of leaves the question of the content roadmap they have discussed. Currently, clicking the roadmap option on Cult of the Lamb's main menu does nothing but bring up a message saying that more stuff will come in the future, which always struck me as odd, but whatever. The Blood Moon Festival seasonal event was not marketed as a major content update by any stretch, so it's safe to say this isn't one of the giant patches they've alluded to. There's a fair amount of friends I have that were interested in the game initially, but upon hearing about the dungeon delving, they were not as enthusiastic about it, so hopefully with the addition of the combat-focused patch, they'll reconsider their thoughts on the game. I feel it's important to clarify that I don't think combat needs to be the main focus of every game, and I don't think all titles out there need to cater to exactly what I want. But as I stated in the past, the roguelite element of this game that was pitched as heavily as it was feels held back by the lack of depth in the adventuring area, so I feel it's worth pointing all this out. I'll have a video on the changes the combat undergoes when the update goes live, and even if it is a cliche thing to say, subscribing and hitting the bell are the easiest ways to make sure you know about the video the instant it's available. Please let me know what you think Massive Monster will do to change the game in the future. Do you think they're going to change how dodging works, add another attack button for weapon combos, more spells? Seems like anything's fair game for now. Regardless, thanks so much, and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.